Hello, welcome to a video on Modern Twiddlestorm. Here we have the epic Twiddlestorm deck that I love so much, but many people don't actually understand. This deck is built on this card Twiddle, which gives it the name, which says you may tap or untap target artifact, creature, or land, in combination with the card Lotus Field. Lotus Field says add 3 mana of any one color. So if and it has hexproof and it has a couple other things we'll go into, but basically you take the Lotus Field, tap it for 3 blue mana, untap it with Twiddle. Now Twiddle is a ritual, plus 2 mana for 1. So it's basically every Twiddle is a dark ritual. And in our deck we have 6 Twiddles, 4 of which are Dream's Grip and 2 are Twiddle. The Dream's Grip is just a functionally better Twiddle because you can potentially entwine for 1 and a blue, and then like tap an opponent's land or a relic or a Tormod's Crypt or something, and untap your Lotus Field at the same time. So the way that this functions, this deck was built off of an idea that's using Pauper. Was pretty good, but got kind of outclassed at the moment. But you take this card, Psychic Puppetry, and it says splice onto Arcane for 1 blue. And it itself is an arcane. So you'll cast an arcane spell, like Reach Through Mist, which just says draw a card for 1 blue, and we can splice Psychic Puppetry onto it for another 1 blue, and keep Psychic Puppetry in your hand. So that basically turns every Reach Through Mist into blue blue, draw a card, untap your Lotus Field. So you get plus 1 mana in a card. And then you have Peer Through Depths, which is look at the top 5 cards of your library, grab an instant or sorcery and put it in your hand and reveal it. And so that's mana neutral with Psychic Puppetry and Lotus Field. And Ideas Unbound is also mana neutral but draws you 3 cards. So we're basically doing all these free spells. Draw through our entire deck, cast this card Past in Flames, do it all over again, and then cast Grapeshot, which is a 1-of in the deck, and just deal them 20 damage. So the way that we make this happen, Lotus Field, when it comes into play, it has to sacrifice 2 lands. And we only have 4 of them in the deck. So it's very important that we have other lands and ways to find it. So the game plan is to play an island, cantrip, play another island, and then find the Lotus Field. On turn 3, play the Lotus Field, untap it with Dream's Grip or something, or Reach Through Mists. And on turn 3, we would float 2 mana with these 2 islands, and then play the Lotus Field, sacrifice the islands, untap it with a Twiddle, and then just start casting free spells. Go through our entire deck, cast Past in Flames, go through the deck again, and then Grapeshot for the win. So in this mono blue version, we don't have any like easy ways to search up Lotus Field, but I actually put in 11 1-mana cantrips. Plus, if you think about it, these Reach Through Mists are 1-mana cyclers, but not very good cantrips in the early game. I have 4 opts. I want to play these because I want to be able to play at instant speed on my opponent's turn. It's always possible on turn 2 that you want to play Peer Through Depths to find your Psychic Puppetry. And then we have Serum Visions, which is the best way to dig in this deck. You draw a card, scry 2. It's going to put you 3 cards deep, looking for your Lotus Field. And then Sleight of Hand is awesome as well. I used to be playing 12. I decided to go down to 11 and then play some helpful cards on this as well in the deck. I've got 2 Merchant Scrolls, which can search up any blue instant or sorcery, which pretty much were only blue instant and sorceries. This is really good for finding your Psychic Puppetry. It's actually mana neutral if you have Lotus Field already out, if you Merchant Scroll for a Dream's Grip, or Merchant Scroll for a Twiddle. So if you have Lotus Field out, you can tap Lotus Field for blue, 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 Merchant Scroll, go to 1, Twiddle, untap the Lotus Field, and now we're back exactly at 0. So we have the same place we started, but we now have a Merchant Scroll in the graveyard for Past in Flames later. And then I have 1 Echoing Truth. This is an all-star for any specific hate that might be in the main deck or that we need to deal with, and 1 Dispel. Dispel is tutorable if necessary, or you can find it during your combo. to protect casting the Past in Flames. Usually, if someone is trying to stop you, they'll try to just counter the Past in Flames, and if we can cantrip into our Dispel, it can stop that. The mana base, I have all these snow-covered islands just for flex, but you only need islands. 2, 3. I have 8 islands. I decided to go for this mana base because it's possible to run into Blood Moon in main decks in Modern, and it's much easier to get around Blood Moon post board if you just have an all blue mana base. And it allows for us to play 4 Tolaria West, which is a uncounterable way to fetch up the Lotus Field. So you can transmute it for 1 blue, find your Lotus Field, and then go off on turn 4, if you can get that to happen on turn 3. You can also search up a Lonely Sandbar, which you can cycle for 1 blue mana, which I have done many times. So if you're in the middle of the combo, you have extra mana, or you think you might fizzle, you can, if you have extra mana, but you may be sort of fizzling, or you just want to check if there's an extra card on top, you can Tolaria West for a Lonely Sandbar, and then cycle the Sandbar, and then maybe get another spell to keep going so that your Past in Flames is even bigger. That pretty much goes into the main deck, and then in the sideboard we have 3 Pongify, which is very good against something like Burn for Eidolon, maybe Eidolon of that, the Silence Eidolon. We have Spell Pierce. I like to use it against Planeswalkers, potentially discard spells, or Land Destruction. And then Echoing Truth, mostly used for hate permanents like Blood Moon, Relic, Grafdigger's Cage, other, or like in response for lots of a big team of Swift Spears pumping or something. And then we have 3 Mystical Disputes, just a very good card against blue decks. I would use it against anybody playing like Earl Omnath or Teferi. And then a rebuild is a hedge, so we don't have 4 Echoing Truths, but it's basically just there for Relic and Chalice. It's very good against Chalice, because if they can play Chalice on 2, I don't have an answer at that time. Aria of Flame is mostly for Shadow. It may not be necessary at this time, but I think you need an additional win condition, and Aria of Flame is much better than playing something like Empty the Warrants in our deck. And I don't want to put more Grapeshots in the sideboard because I'm trying to play around Surgical with this. So that is the deck, and let's get into the games. Alright. So game 1, I'll get rid of this, versus AFX. Rematch 1. Alright. Step. So we're on the play. Very important. This is not a keep because we don't have any lands, but we do have a Lotus Field. Here, I end up picking up the Lotus Field. This is definitely a keep. Doesn't look super useful, but we can actually, I think, bin or bottom the Tolaria West, which I do, and then we're going to Serum Visions. I see opt Peer Through Depths. Here I think that I want to just keep the Peer Through Depths and not the opt. So I go bottom top. Opponent plays a Swift Sphere. And I decide to wait until their turn to see what happens. They'd play a Lightning Bolt, and I just bounce the Swift Sphere back. They hadn't played a land, and I was hoping that I could fog them for 2 turns. So now I'm on my turn. I draw an Ideas Unbound. On turn 3, I'll have the Lotus Field. So if I can get exactly Psychic Puppetry. Oops. Okay, so we didn't get to see what we had there, but I was looking for exactly Psychic Puppetry, and I didn't find it, and so that's okay. But now we're just waiting for them to go through their stuff. They bolt me, and then attack for 1,000,000, put me down to 2, and I top deck the Psychic Puppetry. So this basically means that we win. We're gonna go ahead and cast the Ideas Unbound with Splice. So I think that was probably a mistake, but I wanted to make sure I found enough ways to untap. Because if I wanted to, I could use a Psychic Puppetry plus the island for 5 mana, although that wouldn't work. So what I should have done was play the island and then Serum Visions first, make sure I cleared out any non-functional spells, and then Ideas Unbound with Splice. Alright, so here we go. Twiddle that. Now I have an extra mana. I'll go ahead and Serum Vision, see if there's anything good. Bottom the island, and I decide to top the Dream Script. Let's see. I'll cast Peer. Here, just grab the Ideas Unbound for sure. Let's see. We have Dream Script, Ideas Unbound, Scroll, Peer, Slate. So I already have Past in Flame, so I'm just going to try to get as many cards as possible for the Past in Flame, so I'll take Ideas Unbound. I always just hit any order to save time. So Ideas Unbound, and now we have 5 mana and nothing to. We have an extra puppetry, so we can actually cast Sleight of Hand. I find nothing, just Past in Flames. So now I'll use the puppetry to untap, and then Past in Flames. Untap with a Twiddle. I should probably just Twiddle again. So I just go ahead and Ideas Unbound. That was a leak as well. So we Twiddle, and then what I want to do is Serum Visions to clear the way. Okay, if I find Reach to Miss and Puppetry on the bottom, Reach to Miss on top. I go ahead and cast some spells. So basically, let's see. Let's just put it in play. I'm just going to cast as many spells as I can, trying to chain until I find Grapeshot, and then zap him. There's not a lot of interaction or a lot of fancy plays in this specific game. Got him. Alright. Game 2. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 cantrips, Psychic Puppetry already. So if I find Lotus Field, I'm in a pretty good spot. Opponent leads on a Soulscar Mage, an Eye Cantrip. I find Echoing Truth, and then put some cards on top. Sorry, that's a little fast. They play Light Up the Stage and find another Soulscar Mage. So here I'm thinking, okay, I probably want to just Echoing Truth them on my turn. I didn't want them to be able to play something like a Dispel or a Spell Pierce to get rid of it. And then they end up playing 3, which was disappointing for me. They play a Tormod script. Okay, so I had actually Serum Visioned into Sandbar Tolaria West. So here I'm going to cast a Sleight of Hand, seeing if I hopefully find a Lotus Field and don't have to try to go off onto my turn 5. Find Island Twiddle. So I decide to just take the Twiddle. And then I'm going to play the Sandbar. I'm just going to opt. Okay, I do find a Lotus Field, which is perfect. I decide to risk it, just play the Lotus Field here. I'm going to have to be tapped out anyway. I don't have anything I can do. Let's see what they do. Play Manamorphose, Sprite Dragon, Mutagenic Growth, and I have been killed. I could potentially have won on my turn, but it would have been sketchy. But they had all the power. Alright, game 3. Okay, that's a mulligan. And this I'm going to keep. I can just get rid of Tolaria West. I'm keeping it here on the power of Lotus Field and then just hoping that I have enough time. play out the island. I decide not to cycle the Reach Through Mists. They play Sprite Dragon. They don't do anything, so I don't have to Pongify this turn. So I drew the Merchant Scroll, and I have to decide if they're going to kill me on this turn. I don't think they can kill me from 19. So I'm just going to play the Merchant Scroll for Psychic Puppetry. Grab that, play the Lotus Field, say go. My opponent has quite a bit of damage. Manamorphose, Bolt, Mutagenic. So here they're hitting me for 6, and they decide to go to 9. Okay, so now I decide that I can't really play around Spell Pierce here while also getting rid of the Tormod script, so it seems like they're holding something. So I'm going to go to their turn, and hopefully they don't have 2 bolt or 3 bolts. So they attack, and I'm going to tap for 3, Pongify this, see if they have Spell Pierce here. So I should have done that on the beginning of combat, so that I could have also tapped it if they had a response, but I got a little bit greedy, I think. So they... Oh, I don't have their beginning of combat set. That's the problem. No, I do. No, I don't. Okay, I do. So, I'm going to blow this up. Let's see what they do. They don't have a response, so I'm thinking, okay, that's good. And now what I want to do is maybe tap the Tormod script. Let's see. I have the mana already. I'm going to try to tap it, see if I can get them to use their counterspell. And they don't have a response. So here we go. I draw an island, not super helpful. They have Soulscar Mage, still 2 cards in hand. We don't know what they are. I draw another Lotus Field, not helpful at all. Island. So I'm still playing around Spell Pierce specifically. So I didn't cast the Serum Visions first. Now I'm going to Serum Visions and hopefully draw something good. I see Pier and Island on top, put it back. I'll put bottom in the island and then put Pier on top and then Serum Visions again. I see double Pier, perfect. So we will untap with Dream's Grip. Just still trying to play around Spell Pierce. I Peer Through Depths. Grabbing a Peer Through Depths, I think. And then play the next one. I can see Past in Flames, Pier. Oh, Past in Flames, Pier, Puppetry. Storm is 6. I don't think I can, well. So here, if I decide they don't have a Spell Pierce, I can win with Past in Flames. So I do take the Past in Flames, trying to risk it and win with this. I go ahead and tap the Psychic Puppetry, tap the Lotus, untap the Psychic Puppetry, floating 2. Now I can Past in Flames. I hope they don't have Spell Pierce. It didn't seem like they did because they were playing quickly. I Past in Flames and they conceded. So what I could have done there is, I do have the Dream Script in the yard. So just Dream Script, Merger Scroll for another Pier or Puppetry, and go off from there. Alright. Got a little bit lucky. That's how you win with Modern. Alright, game 2. Match 2. Okay, so I have to mulligan that. I'll keep this hand, put back a Puppetry. Opponent leaves with a Swift Spear. Pretty good. I don't have an untapped land. And then they play Eidolon, and now I'm basically dead. But it's possible that we win. So if I Sleight of Hand into a Lotus Field, which I do find it, now I would have to have them not deal me a lot of damage. I'm going to play out my Tolaria West, and then I could play Lotus Field and then kind of combo for a bit, find my Echoing Truth, and then win. But they put me to 3 damage, 3 life, so I have to scoop. This game was interesting, so let's see what happens. Can't keep that. This I'm going to keep, because I have Psychic Puppetry, Ideas Unbound, and two cantrips. Put back the Passion Flames. The idea is cantrip into a land, cantrip into a land. Okay, I find no land, but I take a Dream Script. Opponent just bolts me. So no land again. Sleight of Hand finds no land again, so I'll take the Serum Visions. Opponent does also not play a land, so I get kind of a freebie there. So here I have to cast it. I'm trying to play the Sleight of Hand to find another land. Do not find a land again. I decided to take the Echoing Truth for an Eidolon, in case I can use it. Okay, so they give me a Lotus Field off the Goblin Guide, which is amazing, and then I find another land. And now, if I survive their turn, I'm most likely going to win. They play 2 guides, I reveal Ideas Unbound, and there's basically deterministic from here, so yeah, it is. We can just tap, Lotus Field, untap, Ideas, Aria of Flames, draw another 6 cards, and that's the game. Especially with Grapeshot in the yard. Alright, game 3. That one definitely felt like it was stolen. The other opponent didn't really have anything going on, but I didn't either. Okay, let's see if I'll keep this. I think so. The idea here is play Tolaria West turn 1. And say go, and they're going to smash me. They reveal a Lotus Field, so now I'm in a very good position. And play an idol. Okay, just 2 ults. I think the best thing here is, yeah, play the untap land. Serum Visions. Finds Ideas Unbound and Lonely Sandbar. We'll just put the Sandbar down and take the ideas. Keep the ideas on top. So on their turn, they have to kill me or I will win, probably. I decided to Pongify the ape, which probably was not a good idea. I could have just twiddled it. If they played Eidolon, I would have been dead, probably. But they don't have it. And that means I didn't... Okay. I guess I put... Oh, I bottomed both because I was looking for the puppetry. Yes, I see that now. Okay. Sometimes replays are hard to go through. So I'm going to twiddle. Opt. Finds an opt, put it on the bottom. Get super lucky finding the puppetry, and now it's deterministic because I can just ideas, untap, dream script, passive flames, go through all my stuff again, and win the game. Alright, match 3. Lost the die roll. This looks like a keep to me. Okay, I mulligan it. I think I mulliganed because there weren't any cantrips in that, and I wasn't going to have a good way to get more lands for the Tolaria West or be able to twiddle. So I end up mulliganing. I'm gonna put back one of these islands that I don't need, and opponent leads with tap land. So they play a, I think this is a Sultai tap land. So we're going to assume this is an Uro deck. Just lead on island. I found a peer through depths to hopefully find the puppetry. I'm gonna do nothing. Put in place a land and it passes. I think I'm just gonna do nothing again. Okay, end step they growth spiral. And I don't do anything. I could potentially have played peer through depths there, but they could force it, so didn't want to. They play Uro. I'm gonna peer through depths, looking for that puppetry. They play a second land, so now I know they have a counter. I find the puppetry here. Sweet. We'll take it. It's right here. So now to play around the counter, what I decide to do is I'm going to float to Lotus Field, sack the lands, untap with Dream Script. This way they don't know exactly what I'm doing if they're not familiar with my deck. And if they let it go, I can reach or miss for another +1, and then reach or miss for +1 again. So they don't counter it. I cast reach. Don't counter it. I'm gonna scroll for Dispel since I have extra mana, and then now I'm feeling pretty safe. I go ahead and reach for +1, and now I'm just gonna try to combo holding up Dispel. I Serum Visions finding T-West Twiddle. I'll keep the Twiddle on top and put the Serum Visions down. Yeah, so putting Twiddle on top allows me to reach for a Twiddle. And now have enough mana to go off and make it happen. So I think the best... Okay, so I scroll for a peer through depths. This gives me a lot of digging power for another passive flames, for my passive flames. Which I do find. Now I'm at 4 mana. So now I realize at this point that kind of like mana light. Take the puppetry so that I can cast. Sorry. So I was looking for a Twiddle there, and I ended up finding a puppetry. So I have 4 mana, and this will be +1/+1, so that's 6. Then I can cast Passive Flames with Dispel back up, untap with Dream Script, and then scroll for another puppetry, and then go off. So that's what I do. Let's see. Untap, untap, cast Passive Flames, Twiddle, and they scoop. Okay, game 2. I'm going to keep this. I have interaction, I have cantrips, I have my puppetry. There's not a lot of setup to do. I find a Tolaria West. So I'll play out the Sandbar, and then I'll opt it there instead. They don't have a Growth Spiral this turn. I'll opt. Find an island, which I'll put on the bottom. Find a Twiddle. So I'm going to go ahead and Tolaria West for the Lotus Field. They draw some cards. So here, I could potentially try to go off, but if they have a 1 mana spell like Dispute It, it's not great. I don't have a lot of draw power. I find a Lotus Field, put on the bottom, play Lotus Field. I decide to play Lotus Field and untap, and then cast Reach. cast Peer Through Depths. And they have Spell Snare, which is pretty much the worst thing I could do. They counter target spell with converted mana cost 2. And I'm like, okay. I can't really dispute that because they'll be tapped out, but I won't have anything to do. So I pass. Cycle. So if I had disputed it and they paid, they probably wouldn't have paid. I don't know. It's potentially, I could have tapped them out there with dispute, but I would have had to draw into exactly Peer, and I did. They play nothing. They play an Uro, get back their counterspell. I got nothing going on. I try to like tap them out and go for it again, but they have enough counters, and I think I'm dead, so I quit. Alright, game 3. Okay, mulligan the first hand with nothing going on. Second hand, I have Lotus Field, Dispute, all these good things. I believe the safest is to put back the Passive Flames. Just play out the Lonely Sandbar. Hopefully I can draw a land on my turn. They play a land and pass. Oh, they play a land and Thoughtseize my Puppetry. Not great. I draw Ideas Unbound, Serum Visions. I find Island Puppetry, so that's perfect. I'm gonna put the island on top and the puppetry and then island on top. That allows me to keep the puppetry safe. They play tap land, play an island. They're gonna play nothing. So let's see. Do I go for it? I decide not to go for it. Draw another island. This allows me to play with Dispute up. Okay, I'm still gonna wait. I was hoping that I could just get more resources and kind of like tap them low. I now have 2 disputes. So I think I'm safe. So I Dream Script for extra mana so I can dispute. Ideas Unbound. What do they do? They put back Thoughtseize. Cast Cryptic, I dispute. They cast Veil Summer, and then I dispute the Cryptic again. I tried to dispute the Veil Summer and didn't, just cost 1, so. They get to draw an extra card, but they draw their Thoughtseize. And I get to draw 3, tap, and then just start going. So we draw 3 again. Getting a little sketchy. Find an opt. A Reach Through Mist, +1 mana. Reach, Serum Visions, Peer. Oh, and then I couldn't find my Passive Flames, but I was able to get to exactly 15 storms, so I just blasted them. Got very lucky again. Okay, match 4. I decided to keep this since I have the effective turn 4 Lotus. I have Merchant Scroll, I have Dispel. So this is pretty slow hand, but I guess it's fine. I cycle. Turn 2 scroll for the puppetry. So this is some sort of mono blue Tron. So turn 3 I will get my Lotus Field. They grab Tron. Play it out. So I know right now that I have protection for whatever counterspell, one counterspell. So the idea is I'm going to try to peer and tap them out of blue on their turn. And I have Merchant Scroll in my graveyard, so I could probably get through and be able to cast Passive Flames on my turn. They make Shark. Send 4. On my end step, I'm going to peer and tap that. Usually they don't counter. They go for a Remand, which is not bad. Put on some counters. Now I have 4 mana, and I just drew a Twiddle, so I think it's over. I can tap Lotus Field, Twiddle, Dispel, whatever their counter is. I peer. They cast Remand again. I just Dispel it. It doesn't really matter. But Dispelling it allows me to have enough mana to pass in Flames, so I guess it does matter. I find peer, so I'll just take 1 peer, and then go off from there. Let's let it run. Peer for ideas. Generally you want to peer for peer if you're looking for passive flames, peer for ideas if you're looking for more twiddles and cards. So just keep drawing more ideas. Eventually cast passive flames, draw my deck again, Grapeshot. Game 2 is kind of interesting. Okay, so I have a great opener here, for sure. I can just play Island, Serum Visions, Tolaria West, Opt. Opponent has no play. I bottom in a land, I think, and then top a Spell Pierce. So I'm gonna hold up the Spell Pierce. Opponent does nothing. I cycle the Sandbar. Another Spell Pierce. So I think that was probably not a good idea, because I probably should have just played the Sandbar out on my next turn and then held up some cards, try to Spell Pierce whatever they do. But let's see. I decided to do more setup. So I have Serum Visions for Dreamscript Pier, and I put the Pier on top and then Dreamscript on top, and I'm just going to opt and draw the green Dreamscript. I do have an island too, so that on my next turn I'll have 4 mana starting. I play out the land, say go. And they thirst for knowledge, and then they play Relic and Grafdigger's Cage, holding up 2 blue mana, possibly for cracking the Relic, or also just like casting 2 Mystical Disputes or something. It's kind of a bad position, but I think it's interesting how I get through it. So the plan here is to first Dreamscript this, leaving me with some mana. Okay, let's see. I'm going to tap them out. So I Dreamscript with Entwined. Tap, untap. They have to float a blue. Now, if they use this for any spells, I can just Spell Pierce it. So now what I decided to do is tap, reach your miss, untap that, and not untap my land. This floats 2 mana, so I can still reach your miss and untap the Lotus Field. They float a blue. I draw a Peer through Depths, which is good. And then I'll reach and untap. The idea here is that I'm tapping them out, even though they floated their mana, I can just go to the next phase and they lose it. I get lucky and draw the Passive Flames, but they have this Graph Digger's Cage, which says creatures in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. You can't cast spells from your graveyard or your library. Not great. Not great. So they crack the relic. Here I am with six. I have 4 mana, potentially 5. So I have to find a way to get rid of the Graph Digger's Cage. So my second main, appear. Unfortunately, I don't find anything good. I was hoping for more ways to continue to do stuff. I think the best pick is probably the Puppetry here for more mana. Take the opt. Okay. Oh my gosh. So I saw Ideas, Truth, Twiddle, Puppetry, Snowcard Island. So let's see. If I had taken the Puppetry there, 4, 5, 6, still not enough. So I'm trying to take the Ideas Unbound, generate some store count, and grab some cards. Hopefully get into more Twiddles and stuff. I have extra Echoing Truths in my sideboard or post board. No, I just brought in the one because I was expecting not hate but counterspells. So we're gonna continue to draw cards. And then I think it would be safe to opt first, but I just draw as many cards as I can. Generating Storm, drawing mana, find an Ideas Unbound, cast that. My thought here, I think, was that I could potentially just win via Grapeshot, if I find it. So now I got 2 cantrips, I got a wait on tap, 2x on tap. If I find an Echoing Truth, I can win. So I'm playing B-ing now. I end up opting for a Merchant Scroll, which is, that's my Echoing Truth. So now I have 4 mana, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So right now, if I Merchant Scroll, sorry. If I Merchant Scroll here, this puts me to 6 mana. And then I can Echoing Truth this, but then I'm only at 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This goes to 6 mana. And then I Merchant Scroll, and then I Echoing Truth, puts me to 4. And I can't cast Passive Flames and flash it back. So the only thing I can do here is opt. I decided to Merchant Scroll for the Echoing Truth first. No, Peer. Because I couldn't get the Echoing Truth and still win, so I'm trying to find the Echoing Truth with the Peer, I guess. Cast Peer. Find a Twiddle, not good, but it gives me more mana. I opt. Lotus Field on top. This is it, how you just have to get lucky to win. At the very last moment, before I was completely dead and had nothing to do, boom, Echoing Truth. So now I can just Echoing Truth, Twiddle, Puppetry, Passive Flames, draw my deck, kill them. Man, I don't know if I sequenced that correctly, but it felt good to get there. Alright, so last match. This is kind of wild, so here I am. I'm going to keep this, I think. Got lots of ways to draw cards. And they play out this Valakut Awakening, Valakut Stoneforge. Makes me think probably is Belcher. They mulligan to 5. Probably Belcher. So I'm going to just try to dig for my combo pieces as hard as possible. Lay out Sleight of Hand from definitely Merchant Scroll here, I think. That lets me get the puppetry. Sleight of hand. And then I do find a puppetry. And then for some reason I decide that I'm going to take the Twiddle since the merchant scroll can find me the puppetry. I play out the island and I'm going to cycle the Lonely Sandbar, just trying to find my Lotus Field. Basically, I think that they're going to beat me if they have a turn 3 Belcher, so I'm just trying to get super lucky. They revealed a million cards, and then okay. At the very last second, I was like, okay, I'm dead on their turn probably, but I end up revealing Lotus Field on the top. So I have exactly Lotus Field. I can Twiddle, Merchant Scroll for puppetry, and then just start winning from there. It was unbelievable that that happened. Just keep blasting through the deck, find the Past in Flames, and win. I was like, I'm dead. Hey, I'm not dead. It was wonderful. Alright, so game 2, I've got Scroll, Truth. This seems fine. I'm going to keep it. Opponent mulligan to 4. Plays a Shatter Skull. Just plays a tap land. I play a tap land. They decide to Desperate Ritual into Blood Moon, which is fine. Actually pretty good for me now that they're just down to 1 card. So I go ahead and play out the Lotus Field. They play a land. I play another Lotus Field. And on their turn, they Simian Spirit Guide to play Goblin the Charbelcher. So that means that I have to win this turn, but luckily I have Echoing Truth in my hand. So I just play Island, Truth the Belcher, or Truth the Blood Moon, sorry. And now I can win. I think the optimal play here would be to scroll for a Pier, but I think I don't do that. Let's see what I do. I do. Okay, so then we just draw a bunch of cards. The cool thing about this is that once we get the 2 puppetries, finding ideas. Now I have 2 puppetries, and I miss it the first time. But now I realize that I can actually peer and untap both of my Lotus Fields. So tap for reach, untap both Lotus Fields, and then find an Ideas Unbound. Pretty much can't lose from here. So the important thing to do with the puppetries when you have 2 Lotus Fields is always target the one in the rear first and the front second, or just whatever you want to do. Always exactly the same so that you don't ever misclick. But you can see that Twiddlestorm is a bit luck dependent, but you get to play a million spells and you get to Grapeshot for lethal. So I very much enjoy it. And thank you for watching. I hope you find success if you try it out, and have a good one.